Hello everybody, this is Jacob, Money, Molly here, and today we're going to be analysing one of my chess games. Now this chess game was a 3-minute blitz game. And you can take this journey with me. We have a fellow from America on the white pieces, and myself on the black pieces. To start off, my opponent plays pawn to e4, a classic move. And then, if any of you know me, you know that I enjoy to play the Scandinavian, replying with pawn to d5. The best thing to do in this position is just to take the pawn, which my opponent does. And then, the modern variation, I bring my knight out to f6, threatening the pawn right here on d5. To defend this, my opponent plays bishop to c4. Now, in this position, do you know what the best thing is to do? Don't worry if you don't. It's an opening that not many people play. But in this position, what I like to do is to take back the pawn in the center of the board. After this, my opponent makes an interesting move and gets his queen into the game, moving her out to f3 and threatening the knight here in the center. Now, what do I do to dispel this? I simply move my knight back to its original square on f6. Now, making a bit of backward progress in that situation, but do you know why I did this? Well done. I don't want to have my knight moving around the board and waste a lot of moves on my knight, so it is far safer for me to move it back to the square it was at before. Good job. Next, my opponent moves his knight up. Incorrect knight. Moves his knight up here to c3 with some natural development. After this, I reply with moving my pawn out to the center, trying to take some more space. A better move may have actually been to move my knight out instead to gain faster development, but I decided that moving my pawn into the center would be the best choice. After this, my opponent decides to make an aggressive move, which ends up being a slight inaccuracy, moving that knight there to d5. After this, I reply with bishop to g4, attacking the queen, but actually it is a big blunder. Can you see what my blunder was? If you saw knight takes knight with check, well done. You're doing great. And you've seen why that bishop move was actually a blunder on my part. Because I now have to take back this pesky knight, and he can gain my bishop for free. So, I take back my knight with the queen, and in return, he takes back my bishop. An unfortunate blunder from myself, resulting in me being down 3 whole points of material. At this point, I have 2 minutes and 28 seconds left on my clock, and my opponent has 2 minutes and 42. Now I just focus on getting more development, and I move my knight out to c6. I hope you're having a great day. You're doing very well. Just keep it up, okay? In response, my opponent gets out his knight and continues to make natural development. In this position, I decide that his queen has been there too long, and so I choose to move my pawn right here to attack his queen. In response, he slides his queen over to e4, keeping the queen in the center and attacking the center pawn. In response to this, I slide out my bishop, completing my development and giving another defender to the e5 pawn in the center. My opponent now decides to castle. A very natural move to do. Now, the evaluation bar has my opponent being up 6.1 points of material, but it is time for me to mount a comeback. In this position, I choose to long castle, completing my development and putting a bit of pressure on the D file. Next, my opponent decides to play pawn up to a3. A slight inaccuracy. Could I tell you why? Probably not. But the engine suggests that instead he should have played bishop to d5, a more active move. However, I then choose to mount an attack on the king side, moving my pawn on the g file up 2 spaces. My opponent decides to do the same and plays pawn to b4. Now, as you can see, both players are trying to mount big attacks on each other's king sides. Who will come out on top? Well, I hope you would have some faith in me. I then play pawn to g4. Because you know what I always say? If in doubt, push a pawn. This is a good move because it forces the knight to move backwards. And that it does. Moving back to e1. Now what will I do with this attack? Well, I'm sure you could have already guessed. My pawn moves up another square to h4. Now, in this position, my opponent decides to slide his bishop into the centre, attacking my knight, and I'm hoping that I will take back from the pawn, leaving my king exposed. But I just continue to mount my unrelenting attack with pawn to h3. White's king now facing a slight bit of danger. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me so far. You're doing a great job. Just continue being you, and that's all that you can ask for. In this position now, my opponent plays a mistake of a move. Too focused on his attack, plays pawn to b5, triple attacking my knight. And in this position, I play the only good move. Pawn takes g2. Now, in this position, my opponent plays a fatal blunder. Queen takes back on g2. Now, the reason why this is a blunder is because it boxes in the king. I then decide to get my knight out of danger. In this position, I have 1 minute and 42 seconds left remaining on my clock. My opponent, not even having used a minute, has 2 minutes and 7 seconds left. Now, what I'm threatening here is obviously knight to e2, checking the king on g1. But in this position, my opponent knows that there are so many threats, and so he decides to make a counterattack with bishop takes on b7. A slight inaccuracy here, but I once again do the only good move and swing my king over to b1, dispelling his attack. Obviously, I am unable to take because of the queen protecting it on g2. Next, my opponent makes his last mistake, and slides his bishop back to a6. This starts forced mate in 6 moves, starting off with knight to e2 check. The king, having only one legal move, has to go back to h1. And then, in this position, I will give you a few seconds to try and find the brilliant move that won me this game. You're doing great. Just keep doing what you're doing. Nobody can ever take away from the fact that you are you, and that is all that you need. Feel free to pause the video if you can't find it just yet. Okay. The move here is the brilliant rook sacrifice. Rook takes h2 check. Now, I could already tell you, I was very pleased when I found this move. And if you found it as well, good. You've really outdone yourself with that one. Well done. I'm very, very proud of you. So, after this, my opponent plays queen takes on h2, removing the threat. And my opponent is now up 8 whole points of material. But the purpose of rook takes h2 is realized after playing rook to h8, pinning the queen to the king. Then, the best move once again, queen takes the rook on h8. My opponent, now up 13 whole points of material, and still about to get checkmated. Next, my queen takes his on h8. But you're my queen. Don't forget that. Next of all, my opponent plays king to g2, trying to escape. But this is mate in 1, with queen to h3, protected by the pawn and the escape square cut off by the knight. A great checkmate that I am very proud of achieving. Now, I do hope that you enjoyed this video and taking this time with me to go over one of my favourite games. Just remember that you are valid and that your time in this world is needed. once again, thank you for taking this journey with me. And I do hope that you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, or even hit the bell. Thank you once again for your attention, because that is truly all that I can ask of you. Have a great day.